Yeah, it doesn't look like anything happened.
I have stuff on my screen now. I reloaded too, and now there's just a lot of background pictures.
That's your screen share thing, probably.
Yeah, see their game's going already. Oh, Shawn, our voices are going on the game.
But looks like they might have a chance here to pick up their 2 points right back and tie this game up. Got plenty of room by the guard. He's got to get by that yellow stone top of the 12-foot as well. Got room by that as well. Now they're trying to bring it back to leave the angle as difficult as possible for the double. I understand we might have everything kind of corrected now, so you can all hear us, you can all see us. Shawn, Joyce, Jeff Chambers with you here. Second end action. Steve Laycock with a 2-0 lead here over Braden Calvert. Looks like Steve's going to make a run at the double here. A little risky. As long as he doesn't hit the first one too thick and drive it by the second one altogether, he should be okay. He should be able to kill at least one. And I think Jeff, he'd have to be real unlucky to jam the back one so solidly on the one stone at the back of the 12-foot. I don't think it would be shot rock unless it spins back to the middle.
Yeah, it'd be really tough. He's got a good angle coming in on this one, so beautiful double to take them out of that end. It was a very interesting end, obviously, with that many rocks in play and different angles. So Braden was trying to hide that one, but just was in the wrong spot, and a great shot by Steve there. So now this will force him into the draw for one.
All those little biters come back to haunt Braden Calvert a little bit because he doesn't have the chance to blank here. And, you know, you're drawing in the first end, or pardon me, the second end, but his first attempt to draw, he was playing hits in the first. So rather than come to the middle, he's going to throw the same draw he just threw.
Yeah, they just had a look at this, so they know the line, they know the weight. Guys are working it hard, though.
He's got
a little bit of comfort
lots
there.
of room.
Yeah, a little bit of comfort there. So good, solid shot there to get them out of trouble.
Brings it into the side of the 8-foot. Same spot as his first one. Picks up the single point here with his final stone. Steve Laycock will have a 2-1 lead over Braden Calvert when we come back for the third.
You can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Sometimes curling just...
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Third end here between Steve Laycock, Braden Calvert, live from the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. Shawn, Joyce, Jeff Chambers with you here. We thank you for sticking with us and checking back in after some technical issues this morning. I think we've got everything up and running now, both audio and video. Steve Laycock picking up a deuce in the first end. Braden Calvert with the single in the second. So that's where we stand. Steve Laycock up 2-1 here as we begin play in the third with last rock. The center guard was thrown up, and this is Braden Stewart's first. They're looking to come around.
A nice come around, and Braden Calvert puts the broom down to call for a freeze into that one on the top 4 foot.
We just don't know who he's asking to do that. The lead for the Calvert team is listed as Rob Gordon, but we don't think that's who's playing because he's wearing one of Kyle Kurtz's jerseys. So we think they've got a substitute playing here, and we didn't get the lineup information. So
well, this is a good chance to put it out to all the fans out there that are watching. If anybody knows who Braden managed to find in there to fill in on this weekend, we would love to hear it so that we can update our notes for sure. Calvert's team coming into this event, they've had a few. They've had 11 games on the circuit so far. They're at a 6-5 record this year, so they're just getting started out as well. And then playing against Steve Laycock's new crew that's 13-3 on the season, and coming off a nice win at the S3 Group's Curling Stadium Series event just 2 weeks ago, where they went undefeated for the 6 games.
So Shot Rock is the Yellowstone, just biting the top of the 4 foot, belongs to Steve Laycock, but that one is open. Braden Calvert's going to ask for the hit and roll to sit 2. The second for the Calvert team, we're pretty sure, is Ian McMillan. He's settled into the hacks to throw his out turn. Looks like with that ice, it'll be a soft weight hit. Try to hold the shooter in the 8 foot at the edge.
Looks like he judged pretty well and got the nice roll. You'll see that there's a little bit, the guys are giving a little bit more ice than what you'd normally see at curling club level ice, but just recently they did what's called papering the stones, or some people will say sharpening of the stones. And basically it's just to get more movement out of the curling rocks to emulate more of an arena feel ice. And the ice conditions are fantastic for them. Definitely lots of curl, and the guys are noticing, playing some practices last night, that they really got to trust that line and know that rock will come in. So really nice angle double there.
Looking to get rid of the guard for sure, and played it towards that second shot stone. Chris Eichert making the double. Shooter does stay in play, but not really protecting any of the rings. It's well off to the side. Braden Calvert now going to look to protect the 2 stones in the middle.
Again, just lots of patience on that. They were well out there, and they just trusted that line would come in and got it all the way back in. So pretty rare, like I said, to see this on curling club ice, but Jason Broughton and his crew have done a great job, and some very aggressive rocks here will make for some pretty amazing shot making this whole weekend as the guys figure out how to get their lines and play for that curl.
Well, that was almost an interesting plan B. Chris Eichert might have been a little bit inside on that. He was just trying to straight peel the guard, and they jumped the sweep right away. Drives it by the 2 stones in the rings, but left his shooter as at least a 2/3 guard on the top Yellowstone. So a chance for Braden Calvert to ask for another stone brought in around. Kyle Kurtz is the third for this Calvert foursome, looking to make the draw on the in turn. Brushers were on this one fairly early too.
You can see it's well out there, but they're still maintaining that it's going to curl, and they still have the straight guy on the inside, and looks like it's a great line call as it was really curling up. That's as close as you're going to get without rubbing on there. There is no room there. So this will force Steve to clean some stuff up. So he's looking like for the straight run back here.
Shawn Meacham, the third for the Laycock foursome, looking to run this straight back, and this one, maybe just the difference in the release between Shawn and Chris, and they're going to get the straight peel on this second attempt.
Yeah, straight peel isn't the end of the world, but as you can see there's some frustration there. Shawn, that's a specialty shot that Shawn Meacham has done, and he's made that shot many times, and he likes the looks of it. So you can tell that was just a little bit in his release there, and he's not happy with that, but he'll tighten it up, and he'll probably have another shot at it. Unfortunately, he'll have to be using a red rock instead of their yellow.
First things first, Kyle Kurtz has to replace the guard, and you've talked a little bit already, Jeff, about just how aggressive these rocks are, and sometimes that can make it a little bit of a challenge to put a guard on an existing rock. If you're icing for a tight guard and you throw it a little bit higher, it may not have curled far enough. And the opposite holds true as well. You really have to throw these guards with these aggressive rocks. You have to throw them to where the skip called for it, because otherwise the amount of curl is just not what you expected. It's not like the old traditional curling club ice where you could just lob it anywhere between the house and the hog line. It was always going to end up on the same line anyway.
No, you're absolutely correct, Shawn. That's for sure. So here he's going to get a piece, and unfortunately just picked his off. Very unfortunate on that one. It just had to curl up probably a half an inch, and he would have had a great shot that probably got all the rocks moving, but a little unfortunate there.
Unfortunate, but it probably doesn't upset them that much. It's great if you can get them all moving, but that yellow one, other than it would have been one of your own to run into the two reds, wasn't helping you a lot. So now on the next run back, if he catches any piece of the red stone at the top of the 8-foot, he'll at least clear out everything from on top of the tee line for his last one. Right now, Steve Laycock just worried about having a shot to score with his final stone.
And as you mentioned, it's no easy task to throw the guard in the right spot with the amount of ice that you're taking and counting on it curling. Anything can happen with a slow moving guard, and so yeah, there's no guarantees that you can place a guard right where you want it on swingy ice.
They did jump this one fairly early, which you have to assume is to try to hold the line, and now, because this one's a little bit higher, they're going to have to make it curl a little bit at the end just to get cover. And that is the difference. You see, that stone doesn't even show up in their overhead shot. It's a very long guard. With the amount of finish there, Steve Laycock looking at, he definitely can see a piece of the stone at the top of the 8-foot. What I'm wondering, if he gets some finish by there, can he actually make contact with the back one as well?
Yeah, there's definitely enough room to move for it. I don't think he's going to go for that. I think he's going to try to get some separation here and move it over, but there's definitely enough room there once it finishes at the end that he could get both rocks moving a little bit.
I think if he thinks he can get that second one to move, that's what he's going to want, because that gives him a little bit more room with his second one. That stone at the back button is shot, and even if you just move the front one, you're going to have room to score, but it's not a lot of room in the third end of the first game.
They like the looks of it.
Needs to finish a little bit now. Makes the tap on the top stone enough to get it through the back, and does hold his shooter at the edge of the 12-foot, which, that's a factor, because Braden Calvert has to be careful not to leave a double here. Now it could be a deuce if you do.
Absolutely. It's a nice setup shot that Steve was asking just to simply get the top one and roll over and to the side. And hoping maybe that they would just ignore it, because that becomes the opportunity to get that multiple end with one slight miss.
Braden Calvert looking to come around, and I'm going to ask you, Jeffy, a little surprised here. They played the whole end, and every come around on the end, including one to the wide side, the one that's at the back of the button now, played it from the in-turn. And now for his last rock, he's going to throw the out.
Yeah, I'm actually quite shocked at that too. I noticed that it looks like it's easier to get on that side, but with the amount of curl, that high guard actually has no relation to the draw shot whatsoever. So kind of surprised they're taking a new line. Will keep the sweepers on their toes for sure.
Well, right now the sweepers are flat-footed. It's a long ways out there. This has to curl. He's got to get at least a piece underneath. It doesn't really matter if it's in for second shot, as long as you make sure there's no double. Now it looks like it's going to curl enough to bury a piece. They'll try to get it to bite the 8. I think they left it a little bit short, so they're still sitting just the single point.
And even though it's over buried, that back one, Steve knows that he can get to that with backline weight. So he's looking to come right up to it, and looks like he's just going to play the draw here, Shawn. I thought he might try the tap just to bring the other one into play.
His first indication was the tap. I think he was, it might have been more wishful thinking. And again, it also comes back to this is third end of the first game. Are you sure you know the ice to play it with? Because he'd have to throw good backline weight to get the second point. And if you ever rub that one at the top of the 12-foot coming by, then you're giving up 2.
Correct.
He's going to play this as a draw. They still have to be a little bit careful. You saw the Calvert attempt that they put there in the first place, had a ton of room by the guard, and then just barely got by the rocks and the rings. So that reverse stagger port between the yellow corner guard and the red at the top of the 12-foot, it's not as big as it looks. Brusher's waiting for it to get off the corner guard. This looks like it might be a little strong. Now looking for some extra curl. They need to get a piece of that back one. And is just a little bit strong, rubs off the stone, but shooter will go too far. It'll be a steal of 1 for Braden Calvert. And after 3 ends of play, we're all tied up, 2 apiece. Sticking with you here through this break between ends, 4th end underway. And first stone on the way, looking for the guard. And similar to the third end, Steve Laycock now going to ask Braden Stewart to come around the center guard. I thought we might see him call for the corner guard here. You do see, Jeff, and we've talked about it in other broadcasts over the past few weeks, that a lot of these top teams nowadays will start playing the odd ends and even ends differently right from the start of the game. Everybody wants that control of last rock and the even ends if they can get it. And you will see teams, for instance, where they would go around the center guard in the odd end. They might opt to throw a corner guard in the second or the even ends, this time opting to come around again.
Yeah, typically we'll see a lot more corner guards played in the even ends. I know this team in particular likes to go aggressive in the even ends, especially in 4 and 6. And so I was kind of surprised to see him go behind, but I know that if Calvert would have called it in to the top 4, that Team Laycock would have played the corner. But typically when they have the center guard, they decide that they want to get first in. Unfortunately, Braden's was just a little lighter than what they wanted. But they prefer to get first in when there's a guard there. So otherwise they would throw a corner. So some of these teams know each other and might play into that just to see if they can change up the strategy too.
Well, the come around attempt for the Calvert team didn't quite get buried, so room for Braden Stewart to maybe make a play on that roll to the open, sit 2. Well, I think that was
pretty tight. They wanted to stay right there, Shawn.
You know,
so
well, Steve did indicate the roll, but I think that was a plan B when they realized they weren't going to get the roll. Rather than just roll 6 inches and leave it for Calvert, try to stay right there and don't leave them the chance to hit and roll under.
And now we get to see some run back action by the Calvert team.
Fifth stone of the end, but this is their own guard. You are allowed to remove your own guard from play in the free guard zone. So they can play the run back here if they happen to lose the guard. That's totally fine. If you kill one of the yellows, Braden Calvert, feel that's even better. Would have loved to have killed both of them, but the stone remaining in the 8 foot is open. It does leave a corner guard for Steve Laycock. So Steve asking, this would be second, Chris Heichert looking to come around. And this is another one where it's not just a matter of getting around the guard, but you want to leave this in a spot where you don't necessarily leave the double as well.
Well, Chris will not be happy with that one there. Just went early on him and just didn't quite get there. So guys will have a little chat to find out what happened, if it was on the release or just a line, and gives the opportunity for Calvert to get right back and get shot stone and get Steve Laycock chasing him back.
Chance to make a play on that shot rock. Try to roll undercover. We'll peek out a little bit past the guard, and that leaves perhaps room for Chris Heichert to make a play on that stone and try to roll behind the wider corner. By the guard, but really curling. He'd like to get the roll if they could. Actually over rolls it a little bit out into the open past the corner guard. Still, when you've got last rock, over rolling a spot like that, not the worst thing for you. If Calvert makes the hit and roll behind the corner, you've taken the play away from the center and still got plenty of time to try to set up your deuce.
Yeah, they were definitely on the cautious side there. They could have been a little pickier on the sweep there, but they're, just like you said, Shawn, trying to be a little more cautious, making sure you get that outside roll, because it doesn't hurt to go to the outside.
Well, exactly. If you leave half exposed on the center line side, you give Calvert the chance to play the hit and roll back in behind the center guard. He doesn't have that chance now.
This is really moving on him.
This is... we don't know their weight signals, but I have to believe that was really underthrown. Like, he barely had backline weight there.
Yeah, there was a little motion from Braden there with the weight there. So yeah, just down a little bit of weight and you take a little bit off with aggressive stones, and you're going to do a lot of racking. Really good opportunity. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Shawn.
I was going to say the interesting thing about that is it left overlapped guards on the center line. Steve Laycock with the first chance to get around them, but it does perhaps bring the play back to the center line a little bit. So Braden Calvert, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If you can make a good shot here, you still might be in a good position to force.
Beautiful draw there by Shawn Meacham. And the guys judged that really well. And that's about as if you could go down and place a stone. I think that's where you'd want to place it. So
yeah, it's very well placed. Shot. He's got shot rock. He's top of the 4 foot, but not too deep into the 4. If they freeze to the top of it, you're still going to have the rest of the 4 foot to try to score a second point. You bring that right to the top of the button, they freeze on it, and then it becomes very difficult to get to. Whereas if you stop it in the 8 foot, they might just come around everything.
And it's late enough in the end is that they couldn't play that angle raise up top, which would have looked good for them earlier in the end. But now they're forced into trying to draw around there and to try to save the end. And this one's going to go a little heavy. So big opportunity here for the guys to throw another one in.
Does manage to stop just in time to be second shot for the time being. Counting that yellow stone at the edge of the 12 foot. But if this was last rock, Steve would follow that stone down, try to move it 3 inches and get 3 points. So it's one of those things where that rock, for now, it's second shot. But Braden Calvert might be forced into drawing for his life here without last rock in this 4th end. Shawn Meacham, great draw on his first one, looking to duplicate that shot. This is going to be close. They had to wait on the line a little bit.
That just shows you how much curl there is there. He got right and completely buried, and just great patience shown by the front end there, and for the weight, and very good communication amongst them to get that shot just into an ideal spot. So not a lot of hiding spots for Braden now.
Well, he's got the same shot available, but with where Shawn Meacham just put that last one, it certainly cuts down the amount of room for error that Braden Calvert has on this one. He's got to get by the stone that Shawn just threw. If he rubs off that, he probably leaves a double to sit 4. And yet he's got to sit right on the corner of the one that's only a foot behind it. There's not a lot of wiggle room here.
No, he might almost be looking at just getting to the back 4 and maybe possibly making Steve go for the deuce. Right now, you're looking at a pretty big end unless you can really get this hidden behind there.
I still think he's looking to corner freeze the one at the top of the 4 foot.
Oh, he is, yes.
If you get behind that one, there's still the chance that Steve might be able to sit 3 or 4.
Very difficult shot. There is not much room to play with there.
No, exactly. And this one's going to come up a little bit short. This is it's getting to the point where it's the embarrassment of riches, so to speak. Where does Steve Laycock put the next one? Like, you're sitting pretty good right now if you don't throw. You'd hate to put this stone in a spot where you actually give him something. Wondering if he can come right to the back one, probably from the out-turn side, I would think. If you're going to come back to the back one, you may as well try to move it. It's probably there. As much as it looks like it's overburied, you watch Shawn Meacham's last 2 stones come in and the amount of curl they got after they hit the house. It's probably there to get to the back one and move it if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's definitely there. That's what they're looking at right now. Basically, a freeze tap would be absolutely ideal. You don't have to throw much weight at all. You just have to move it 2 inches.
No. Well, and part of the reason they're looking at it is that there's no good spot to put a rock in front of the tee line right now where you wouldn't leave Braden Calvert something. You leave him either a hit and roll or perhaps some kind of a double, which right now he doesn't have anything. If you don't leave him anything, he doesn't have anything. So if you throw to the back of the house, he's not going to be able to use your shooter to get into that 4-foot area.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. If you drew around that red one, that you're leaving him a pretty easy run back, and he could definitely make a double. Whereas right now it's not really there. And you're right, on the other side, if he tries to draw in close to the button and just as a little tap off of one of those stones, he could set up the double and let him back in. So you might even be thinking the first indication was, let's get to this back one. And now all of a sudden Steve's looking at maybe leaving it a little shorter, and Braden's come in to have a little chat too. I'm not sure that's would be the place I'd be trying to put it right now, where Shawn just tapped, but they're going to be discussing it.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if they try to put anything up top. It's hard to put it up top without leaving a double.
Yeah, no. Little conversation amongst them all, and they're back to plan A, which is coming down to that red one. They want to sit 1, 2, 3, and if it happens to have the right weight and happens to have the right line, they'll sweep it to try to sit 4 and put some real serious pressure on Braden.
I think that whole conversation was probably started with a statement that, is there anywhere we could put it up here that's good? And ultimately it came down to, no, there's not. You certainly understand what they're looking at, though. I mean, you're trained as a curler. You just don't want to have to throw anything behind the tee line. The odds are this rock's not going to come back to count, but you don't want to put this one in a position where Braden Calvert has something. You're looking pretty good right now to get at least 2 and probably have a shot for 3. If you can make the little tap here, there's the possibility this could end up in a really big end.
Absolutely. Well, Braden Calvert's had a history of making some pretty big shots when needed, so you definitely got to respect the fact that he can make those shots, and you don't want to leave him anything that he can bring back at you.
Didn't get the line they were looking for to come down to the back one, but they did bring it back far enough that if Braden Calvert makes a play on it, you're still going to be shooting for 3. Braden Calvert is actually looking at that stone, and I think part of his concern is if you ignore it and don't make something really good, it's still a shot for 4.
Yeah, I personally think the best chance he has is coming around that red one and trying to get to back force its second shot in behind that red one and force Steve into a tough shot for a big end. I think that's easier than he's going to tap it back to that spot by the looks of it. So he's going to use his own red one to tap.
Yeah, might be concerned that if he plays the straight draw, he's got to go so much wider than what they've thrown that it's a bit more of a guess. So at least he knows this path, played in the tap. And he's got a few options too. If you tap slight angle, you might rub the top yellow one and still be able to get in for second shot. With tap weight even on that angle, your shooter's probably still in the way. That would be the worst case scenario, is play the tap, rub the top yellow, and pop the tap stone back out into the open and roll over too far. That would be disaster. You might leave Steve Laycock a double for 5. You're not going to be playing the weight here to kill anything. This is just a straight draw tap. This is going to need to curl now, starting to come. Picking up the sweep, needs to hold it for straight back. Boy, this is really curling on them. It's going to over curl. Well, he taps it up for 3rd for the time being, and I don't think with the angle that Steve would have to play that he could make the double for 5, but a nose hit gets him 4, and that is probably enough.
Yeah, they quickly looked at the angles, but at the end of it, when you're looking at the scoreboard and you're just going, hey, listen, if we can put a solid 4 here, I think any team would take that over the risk of trying to be fancy on that back one. So they'll be very happy if they could hit this and take their 4. So poor Braden shot there, just I think caught them off guard because they didn't jump that early, Shawn, and the weight was spectacular actually.
Well, and when they were cleaning, halfway down, they were cleaning with the offside sweeper as if they thought it needed to curl. Steve Laycock with his final stone here in the fourth end just needs the nose hit, could pick up 4. The broom up for the good shot, makes the nose, stays right there. It's 4 points on the board for Steve Laycock. He will take a 6-2 lead into the fifth. Calvert will have last rock when we come back.
Had some questions about if our houses are painted or they logo. Our events are always painted houses, but in the future coming out, I'm pretty sure we're going to be going to all logo houses. They're a great revenue source for any curling club. You can get your advertisements on there, and usually after the first year, the houses are paid for. It's all free money for you. So hopefully check Jet Ice out for your future in-house logo.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Steve Laycock with a 6-2 lead over Braden Calvert as we begin play here in the fifth end from the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. Shawn, Joyce, Jeff Chambers with you here live. We want to thank those of you who stuck with us through some early technical difficulties here in this draw one. 16-team triple knockout as we begin play here in this event. 8 teams qualify for the championship round, which actually begins play Saturday night with the quarterfinals. Semis and finals will be on Monday. We'll assume that all of these curlers, when they're playing on Monday, will still be playing in their regular uniforms, although costumes would be in order, will they not?
Sorry, Shawn, just got back there. I was actually just I'm making a couple calls there to find out who this lead for Calvert is. So I decided to reach out. So Braden's actually my first cousin, so I'm reaching out to my aunt and uncle on cell here to find out who he's got this weekend.
Well, down 4 here as we begin play in the fifth end. Calvert going to play two corner guards already here. You don't often see this play made this early in a game, but 4 points down against a team that defends very well. Probably have to.
Yeah, after that 4-ender and halfway through, Braden realizes he's going to have to take some more gambles and set up some or ignore the individual stones there at the beginning a little bit more than normal, just to try to set up some kind of jam possibilities or misses or be able to hide the rocks. So we'll probably see some pretty aggressive play from Braden for the next few ends, and it'll be interesting to see how the free guard zone rule comes into effect here and changes up the ends.
Steve Laycock had brought the first 2 into the top of the house, now throwing the guard. And really just doing that because you know that at some point in time, and it looks like it's going to be now, you can force Braden Calvert to use a few rocks just to clean up the middle before he gets a chance to use those corner guards. Braden calling down to the other end. I guess it's a question of what do you see here? You do have a chance to make a play directly on shot rock, or you could make a play on the guard. I think you can't. I do agree with Braden. You're not in a position where you can afford to just straight peel. You got to try to keep your shooter in play and maybe move one of the yellows in the house as well. If you just roll to a corner guard, that's not bad. Ian McMillan looking to run this back. Wants to make a little bit of noise in the house. Would like to hold the shooter. This has got to curl a little bit. Makes the hit, drives it by the stones in the rings. Does hang on for a second corner guard though.
So Steve will replace that and ask Chris Hiker to do so to protect the stones a little bit. We're going to see a couple run back opportunities. You don't want to get too tight to the rings with this, because if you do get the hit and roll, then it all of a sudden becomes little biters, and that's what you don't want. So we're going to be looking for about 2 or 3 feet outside the rings for ideal guard here.
I think they might have been looking for higher than that, but this looks like it might be coming right into the house. And that will leave an opportunity for the Calvert team to at least play a double. Now, it does curl enough that probably not going to leave a triple.
Does give them the opportunity to hit and start rolling behind some of the corners, though. So
well,
a little bit heavy by Chris there.
I think he can probably make the double and roll behind those double corners on the right-hand side as the thrower looks at it. Look at that broom placement. They're going to throw a little bit of weight at this one, you would think. Over curls a little bit, hits the nose on the first one, does make the double. Shooter stays right there. And that's still a problem for the Laycock team if you're going to make a play on that red stone. And of course, he doesn't want to leave a rock in the rings with a 4-point lead. You, in order to pass it by your own stone on the button, you have to roll away. He will look to roll behind that corner guard, or at least that's what they're talking about right now, but that still will leave Braden Calvert the chance to play the shot stone and roll behind the corner himself. This stone, even if it gets into the rings, is only going to be just biting the 12-foot. Basically, it will act as a second corner guard. Shawn Meacham with the hit. Shooter does roll over just a little bit at the corner underneath the longer red guard, and it is biting, so sitting 2 for now. Shot rock, this stone on the button is exposed, and there is room to make the roll underneath the 2 guards now on the left, as Kyle Kurtz is looking at it. Boy, we don't know who the sub is, but they're putting him to work. He was on the brush on this one right away, and this is going to over curl. Going to rub the top stone, and not quite enough of a... If they could have got a little thinner on the first one, might have got fortunate on the second one, but it goes by everything, and now it's Laycock sitting 2. There are 3 corner guards, all belonging to Braden Calvert. When he's only got 1 in the rings, I would be surprised if Steve Laycock looks to guard now. Or 1 on the button, pardon me. Thinking about peeling the corner. Thinking about coming around the corner.
Yeah, this is a different shot. Most would think you'd peel that corner and just leave the 2 on the other side and keep your rocks to the open side. But they're going to get aggressive and come right in there and try to tighten the rings up on Braden. So guys are looking at this early. Nice clean, so they're pretty happy with the weight so far. Waiting for the big finish at the end. This is taking a long time to come, though. Here it comes.
Gets into the 12-foot. It is just fully open. I was thinking myself, though, as that was coming in, just fully open's not the worst spot for that rock. It does mean that if Calvert decided to go after shot rock for the hit and roll, you'd still have your own stone to use. So Braden Calvert's going to go after the top stone. Might be able to make the double and the roll, but you'd be awfully high up in the rings. And of course, now the shot's a little trickier because you brought the guard into play. If he wants that roll, he's got to play a little tight to that corner guard. Kyle Kurtz rubbed with his first one, trying to come by a stone at the top of the 12. Looks like he picked up his weight a little bit on this one, and he's going to stay broomside. Makes the hit. But
I think
we'll
that
stay out in the open.
I think that could have been a little overcorrection there, Shawn. Kurtz had a couple soft ones that over curled on him on his two previous shots. So by the looks of that one, he was making sure that he wasn't going to let it go, and probably popped it a little bit too much. So left it out in the open, but probably a little correction there as Kyle tries to find his footing out here and get used to the ice and how it's curling. So first game of the event, take a little while to get onto that ice.
Now, I didn't see the indication there, Jeff. I don't know whether you did. Are they trying to roll in front of theirs or pass to the corner guard?
I did not see that.
Okay.
Either one would be a pretty good shot right
Yeah.
now. So I'm assuming that they're going to try to probably roll right over and leave the front one exposed. But
see, and I was thinking they might not now. We're down to skip rocks. If Braden Calvert's going to score deuce, he's got to count both of his own. So if you're Steve Laycock, if you just roll a foot, cover your own, and he's got to play the double, he may have to stay out in the open. That makes it real tough to count to.
yeah,
They're going to have to go to get any roll on this, though. No, he's holding the line nicely. It will roll past and into the corner. So it is buried. Sits 3 for now, but it does leave Braden Calvert room to make the hit and roll behind the corner guards, and he would still be shot rock. He might be behind the tee line, so they're...
Now he's taking a look at that angle. Those two yellows, even if he gets a perfect rollover, now those yellows are quite close together for a run back. So it's very, very hard to hide over there now. So he'll have to get a little lucky on where he positions his stone and in order not to give Steve a shot at taking it out.
Braden Calvert with his first stone here, the 5th end. 8 end games here in the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. Trailing by 4, needs the hit and roll to get the deuce, and this is hanging on the outside of the center line. I think now looking at plan B, maybe trying to get behind the other 2 corner guards. Don't know if they can do that and have shot rock. Does, I think, get it far enough over to get it buried. It is second shot. And there is probably a double available on the 2 yellows. So Steve Laycock will look for a chance to come in here and sit second and see if he can't get the force.
Yeah, that plan B worked pretty good. It got the shot in there. They can't take it out. And so it's forcing Steve now to come in and sit for a shot or second shots because that double is available on the other side. But
it's not an easy double on the other side because he's got to get just a shade to the inside to make sure that he gets his shooter in, but it is there.
Yeah, it would be very difficult to get a shot as well, but yes, you're right. So Steve will try to make it very difficult on Braden here and take away the choices by coming down and freezing onto that back one.
Nothing out of the brushers early. Not usually a good sign when they stand straight up either. Lots of room. The question now is, will it stop in time? And looks like it will come to rest in the back of the 8-foot. Does what he needed to do. There's no double there, so Braden Calvert going to get forced to try to take his single here, and he's opting for the draw towards the button. This will put the Calvert team, I mean, they have to score here, obviously, but puts them in a tough spot. 3 down with 3 ends left to play, and you don't have last rock. You're going to have to go hard into steal mode after this.
Yes, we'll definitely see some center guards go up.
Braden Calvert with his final stone. Needs a full 8, almost a bite of the 4. Brush is really just cleaning, now picking it up a little bit more. Line's nice, they just need to get it far enough. Did they wait too long? No, they knew what they were doing. Brings it into the top of the 4-foot. Braden Calvert will pick up a single point here in the 5th end. Closes the score to 6-3, but Steve Laycock with the lead and last rock in the 6th.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Sixth end of this opening draw from the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. Steve Laycock with a 6-3 lead in last rock here in this 6th end of play. We expected to see some center guards here. The first one thrown as a center guard is about halfway up, and Braden Stewart looking to come around it. Drops his first stone a little bit short. That will essentially act as a second guard, and I still thought we might see Braden Calvert throw one more, and they talked about it, but it looks like opting to come around.
Yeah, a little bit of miss by Braden on his weight there for sure. He the last place they kind of wanted to leave that was out front of the house, so just caught him off guard a little bit and allowing Braden to come in. Again, little shocked that we didn't see even a higher guard just to really make a mess of things up there for Steve Laycock to chase. Beautiful shot here, right to the button.
Well, because you now might see Braden Stewart just peel his own out. Looks like they're going to play it as a split. Just most important thing is get that Yellowstone out from behind the longer red guard. You don't like that staggered guard situation. Now the bonus here is that playing it as a split, you could maybe get second and third shot out of this. You just don't want to leave anything lined up in behind that guard. Get them both well to the edges. Just the way they drew it up.
Great shot there by Braden, yeah.
And Scoreboard dictates Braden Calvert really has to ignore those stones. He needs a steal here. This is one of those ends early on as you look at the rocks starting to pile up at the corners. This could be either Braden Calvert steals one here, or this might be the last end. So all those little rocks around the edge of the 12-foot can come back to put another big end on the board for Steve Laycock. This is the 5th stone of the end. Ian McMillan looking to cover up that shot stone, and then you'll see the Laycock team start to try to clean up that center area. Needs some curl here to get this underneath. Boy, almost left him enough room, and I think Steve's thinking about it. You might be able to make a play just on the stones in the rings.
It's great for Saskatchewan fans too to have Steve Laycock back. Obviously he's one of the most successful skips with Saskatchewan and curling, and he was off for a little while out in BC, but he joined last year Team Fighter to help them out as an alternate and played a lot of games. But now he's with his own crew, and what a crew he has with Shawn Meacham and Braden Stewart and Chris Eichert. So it's pretty awesome for Saskatchewan to see this team get built, and should see some good action from them.
Chris Eichert looking to run the guard back, make some noise in the house. Now that is not what they had in mind. Certainly wanted to run it on a bit of an angle, would like to get his shooter off the center line. Runs it back, does move the stone off the top of the 12-foot, but it jams on the yellow at the side. And glancing at the overhead, I think it was Calvert still sitting too. Most importantly, shot rock is dead buried.
Yeah, after seeing that shot, you saw Braden move a little faster in the house. He got a little pep in his step after seeing that miss. Like it's a pretty big miss to leave the guard out front, and now they're in a good situation to sit 3 all of a sudden.
Yeah, at least for now, it seems to have taken away the possibility that this could be a big end against you. You're still going to play to steal. Yeah, Scoreboard says Braden Calvert has to play to steal.
This just did not move early enough on him, and they weren't able to get on it to get around. So unfortunate miss there. It left the double, and this is not a shot that you want to leave Shawn Meacham, as everybody knows he has a habit of making these on a regular basis when needed.
I had to wait till I see who threw.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was Shawn Meacham. It was Chris Eichert.
Less I lost track of who was throwing.
I thought Shawn was up, but that's even better for Chris to make that. So he'll feel a lot better being able to get rid of a couple stones. So getting a little ahead of myself there.
Still leaves Calvert sitting 1, and he does have the center guard to work with. And interesting, they had the last 2 attempts from the out-turn side. They just really didn't get the line they were looking to. So switching to the in-turn. These are 3rd stones now for the Calvert team without last rock. So Kyle Kurtz with the in-turn looking to come around. Love to put this back in the same spot that the shot rock was in just a moment ago.
Making no mistake with this one, that was beautifully buried.
I expect we'll see Steve Laycock make a play on the center guard, probably straight peel, but towards the red on the outside, especially once he confirms that it is second shot. Maybe it's close. He wasn't 100% on that. We don't have mics on the players, so I'm just going by the gestures there, and I think Steve was asking Shawn, do you like coming directly at shot rock, or would you like to peel the guard into the red on the corner? And looks like Shawn wants to play the peel on the guard. The bonus, if you catch it on that one in the corner, is it would take away the force opportunity. or could for now anyway. He's going to be a little thick on this one as well. Drives it between the two red stones. And the shooter stays in play as a corner guard. I may have been too quick to judge. I said that red looked like it was second shot earlier on, but both skips have now had to look at it more than once, and they're a lot closer than I am. So it must be close.
Yeah, from our view, I would have said that was red as well, but you're right. If they're looking close enough, it's probably closer than we think.
I'm not sure it matters for Braden Calvert. I think you still have to guard this stone, and you're looking to steal if you could, but at the very least, if you get a force here, you got last rock in 7, you're going to have to gamble hard because you're going to need at least 2 and 3 would be better. And Kyle Kurt's struggles continue. He gets the guard, but doesn't get the line they were looking for, so shot rock's still wide open. He has struggled with line a little bit in this game now. It is the first game. We can't hear the players. And you just wonder if his 2 rocks maybe aren't matched, although I'm thinking back to an earlier end. His second stone actually was the one that the hit last end, his hit undercurled on him too, compared to the first stone. So maybe he's got his second stone a little straighter than the first one.
Yes, it can definitely happen out there. I know he's definitely had the struggles with the line, so it could be a little bit to do with the rocks, just getting used to the ice.
Well,
it could be a few factors.
Shawn Meacham with a nice hit, rolls onto the corner guard. Decision time now for Braden Calvert. That's a fairly long run. He's looking at trying to come around everything, use that stone at the top of the 8-foot as a guard. And now really when you're looking at making these draws, you are still looking at just trying to get the force, because you certainly don't expect to steal out there. I thought he actually might look at throwing a center guard here, because where do you peel it?
Yeah, it definitely would have made it
jams
interesting
all
with those 2 yellow. If you put that yellow rock right on the Dia Delta, it'd be pretty tough.
There's jams all over the place. And if Steve Laycock opts to come around it, well, you're Braden Calvert. You're in a bit of a desperation mode. If you throw a center guard and he comes around it, you're probably happy that he's coming around it. It gives you a chance. This is a tough shot, and if you make it, you're still probably looking at giving up 1.
Yeah, a little surprising for sure. Trying to hide this one, and instead of, like you said, throwing that center and give yourself a chance on the last one when you're going into full steal mode. Get some late curl here.
They had a few chances to play draws on the outturn side earlier in the end, and they weren't able to get the finish on those either. So he's left that one just fully exposed. Steve Laycock has a chance to come down, make a play on it, and then he'll look to roll away from those guards. But definitely would like to stay sitting 2 here. This suddenly looking like another chance for Steve Laycock to perhaps pick up 2 or 3, and you have to wonder if that might be enough to end the game. Probably wouldn't mind keeping this on the 4-foot on the other side of the center line if he could. That actually might force Braden Calvert to try to freeze to it. I don't know that there'd be any other way for him to get shot rock. You roll into the 8, he's going to play the same draw probably. Difficult, but it's just going to be his only chance to steal.
Coming down with a nice, very controlled weight so that they could operate it. And
does make the hit, rolls to back 4, and Braden Calvert got a choice. It looks like he's opting to play the hit and roll, but if you hit and roll off that, you're going to be no better than 8 foot. By the time you're buried, anyway. I thought he might play the freeze to that. Not that, I mean, certainly you freeze to that, you expect Steve Laycock's going to try to blast it out, and those get made a fairly high percentage of the time at this level, but there is a possibility when he blasts it out, he only scores a single.
Well, I did find out Braden's lead, or their spare that they brought this weekend, their regular player is Rob Gordon, but they've got Brendan Balaka with them. So Brendan Balaka is the lead and the guy that's been doing a lot of sweeping this game. Here he's on it again right off the bat. So they definitely brought a workhorse with them, and he's actually throwing a really good game. And so, yeah, good part to this team. They might have let this get too far again on them.
They made the hit and they do roll, but rolls a little bit too far.
Just having some trouble judging that line. Again, they had the early sweep, and then they got off it, and they thought it had to curl up, and then by the time they got on it, it was too late, and the rock took a pretty good curl. So definitely some ice learning lessons here going on early for the Calvert rink in this 9 a.m. game that we had here today.
Well, and you might have just said the key thing right there is some ice learning, because Steve Laycock's going to have the chance here to draw. Needs full 8 foot to pick up his deuce. If he does that, he'll have a 5-point lead. But when you're in the first game of the first draw and maybe struggling with the ice a little bit, the Calvert team, because this is a triple knockout, you still got to play. You got to play another one later today. They might opt to stay out here for another end and see if they can't figure this out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely the advantage goes to the Laycock team. They've been out here, the curling in games and even league curling last night. Shawn and Chris were out on the ice, and Stephen Braden, they were here last weekend for a curling camp to help us teach some kids. So they know the ice really well, and definitely a big advantage coming in, because I'm pretty sure the Calvert rink was not expecting such a big curl out here.
Had to wait for that stone to get off the corner guard, but Brusher's able to bring it into the top of the 8 foot. It is 2 points for Steve Laycock, and it is handshakes from Braden Calvert. So we have a final score. Steve Laycock picking up the 8-3 win here this morning against Braden Calvert. Laycock will move on to in the A event. Braden Calvert dropping down to the B. Both of these teams will be back in action later today. And that brings this draw for us to a close. From the IG Wealth Management
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.